everyone, welcome to Fun Friday. Thank you so much for joining Fixin' to Create's Fun Friday DIY project. Today we're going to be doing gift giving. Tis the season, so we're going to make a really simple but yet very personal item, an ornament to share to a neighbor, a friend, yourself. It's a really cute project. You can do it with young helpers, depending on your type of process that you're going to do. We'll go through a couple different processes. So today we're going to be doing some bead ornaments. I'm using wooden beads. You can buy plastic beads, make in various different colors. You can buy beads that have decoration already on them from various different craft stores or scrapbook stores. So there's a lot of options here. We're just going to go with a traditional round ornament. You can also make these into crosses and stars, just use your imagination. So again, it's a real simple project. So the supplies you're going to need are going to be beads, of course, different sizes, different size holes, depending on the type of wire you're going to be using. So I'm going to be using a 1-inch and a 1/4 inch, so little small guys. Wire to connect all of that, wire cutters to cut your wire. If you choose to paint your beads, you'll want to use some paint. There is stain, many different kinds out there. For embellishments, you can use some berries, twine, various different kinds. I do recommend, if you're going to do something small in size like this, to keep your ribbon or twine small versus really wide. This would be the widest I would go, and I believe this is 1 inch. Yeah, just about 1 inch, just a little under. So various different things you can add as embellishments. And then of course our good old hot glue, because you do want to glue your embellishments on. If you don't have any embellishments and you just tie a ribbon, absolutely don't need glue. So if you have little fingers to do that. Some options going through changing your color of your beads. Again, paint or stain. I did see a technique where someone used a lighter and actually torched the beads because they're wooden. Now if you're using plastic, obviously you don't want to do that, but if you have a wooden bead and you just want to burn it versus stain it, it's a really cool technique. Not recommended for children whatsoever, definitely an adult project, but it was a really cool technique. Most people don't have a heat gun, so you would have to use a lighter, and obviously be very, very safe if you choose to do that. But today, for the simplicity of it, we're going to be staining or painting these beads. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleared out and get started. Alright, so first off, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my wire. This is just a really thin wire. You can use much thicker wire at the hobby stores, craft stores. This one came from the Dollar Tree, so it is a lightweight, but once all the beads are strung on, it holds it nice and tight. So your preference. I'm going to go ahead and measure out 12 inches. If I have extra at the end, I can just cut that off. So I just have my yardstick here, measuring off that 12 using my cutters, and that is simple. It's very, very simple. Now, whatever design you decide, whatever size beads, is going to determine what size wire you have. Not necessarily the thickness, but the length of it. So if you're using much larger beads and you want to use quite a few, make sure you measure that out a little bit longer. It's easier to cut your wire short once you're full than to start over and waste your wire. So all we're going to be doing is stringing the beads on. We're not going to be doing it, coloring them first. If you choose to do that, by all means, go right ahead. I'm just going to fill this up. I'm going to alternate between the small and the large. You can find different shaped beads as well. That makes it a little bit more fun. And like I said, you can buy pre-painted beads at various different stores, and some of them are plastic versus wood. So it is what you have on hand or what you find at the store. So I am just alternating this. I'm just going to add a few more and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've measured out So I used a 12-inch wire. I want to make sure I have a little bit to be able to tie it off. That looks about a good ornament size to me. Again, it's preference if you want to make it much bigger or smaller, depending on your likeness. So I just alternated the beads. So these two fall in place, a small and a large. And I'm just going to take my wire and twist it and tie it together. I'm going to loop that again. I'm going to use my pliers just as an extra helping hand while I pull that tight. So just give me a second here and I will get that all tied up. Okay, so that is nice and tight. And if you can see that in there, it is not coming apart. It's a little bit flexible, which is okay to me. If you want it more stiff, you can use a thicker wire. I don't need the wire for anything else, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut those little ends off just so they're out of the way. And there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stain this. So I have a couple extra, just some little raggedy rags here. I'm going to use one just as my surface, and then I'm going to be using one to wipe off that stain. You can use any stain out there. Water-based stain works the easiest to clean up, but if you happen to have something on hand, by all means, please use it. Don't need to add expense and go out and get something else. So all I'm going to do is just messy, just coat these beads. Careful of your surface. This is a water-based. This stain actually came from IKEA a while ago, and it just is lasting forever. And I use it on all kinds of little fun stuff because I like the darker stain. So this is all I'm going to do. I'm just going to go around the whole thing, and then I'll be back once I have everything coated to my liking. Alright, so I went ahead, I stained it. I let it dry just for a few minutes just so the stain could really soak into the wood. And now I'm just going to do is rub off a little bit of that stain, depending on what type of stain you use, or if you're going to use paint, just let it fully dry. In the past video, I did talk about using paint in a cup. You can do the same thing with the stain and just roll them around. Just when you take them out, be cautious that the paint and the stain can drip out of the center, so make sure you clean that out. You don't want a big mess. So I'm just going to take this other towel here, just give each of the beads a nice little rub. Because I strung them and painted them, I'm not worried about things being in the center. But depending on how much you coat the beads, you may want to try to get in just a little bit. When using a towel or a rag, be sure it's lint free. You don't want any lint particles to affect your design and get stuck. So just a FYI. Alright, so every bead is going to look a little bit different. I'm going to let those dry just a little bit while I get my other items ready. Okay, so now I have my basic ornament. You can hang it just like that over, or you can add a ribbon to hang it off of. I am going to do a ribbon. Let's see, this one I did a red and white, so let's see if I do this little red and white checked pattern. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do this little red and white checked pattern. First I'm going to go ahead and just, I like to be able to string mine separate and then do a bow, but whichever you prefer. So I think that's really cute with the stain. Now if you're going to paint it, your ribbon might be a little bit different. So I'm just going to take my scissors, give that a cut. Now you can glue this, or you can tie it, whichever you prefer. I think I'm going to glue my ends together. So this is where your hot glue is going to come in handy. Just be mindful of your fingers. Depending on your spacing, you might be in your size of your ribbon, you might be able to wedge that in just like that. So now I'm going to go ahead with a bow. Oops. There's many different ways to make a basic bow. So I'll go ahead and just cut this long. I'm not sure how long I want it, but I'd rather have it a little bit long than too short and have to start over. So we'll put that guy right there. If you want to add any type of embellishments, you most certainly can. And then I will follow up with my bow. Sometimes there's enough glue there that I don't need to add more. Depending on how long you want your edges. A good pair of scissors is always nice. And then if you want to have your tapered ends, you have your ends. So there you have it. Another real simple but very kind and caring if given this as a gift to somebody. You can add it to outside of a wrapping as a gift, or you can give this around, I don't know, a bottle of eggnog, a bottle of wine, whatever it is that you want to present this, or make them for yourself. This is a great family activity to do together and create a 2020 ornament for your tree. So thank you so much for joining me today on our DIY gift giving care with Fixin' to Create. I look forward to any comments and your creations, so please make sure you comment below, and we'll see you soon. Bye!